वागीशात्या सुमनसः सर्वार्थानाम् उपक्रमे यन्नत्वा कृतकृत्याः स्युः तन्नमामि गजाननम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुरेव गतिः गुरुमेव भजे गुरुनैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे। न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो। कल्पानोकः पुष्पजाल विकसन्नीलाकरां मातृकां कान्तां कञ्चदलेक्षणां कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनीं कालिकां काञ्चीनूपुरहारदामसुभगां काञ्चीपुरी नायिकां कामाक्षीं करिकुम्भसन्निभकुचां वन्दे महेशप्रियाम्. On behalf of Sri Kamakshi Asha Samskriti Trust, it is my honor to speak a few words about Professor B. Mahadevan, an exceptional academician, visionary and champion of Indian knowledge systems. Professor Mahadevan served as a professor of operations management at the Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru for over 30 years. A graduate of IIT Madras and the College of Engineering, Guindy, he has had a distinguished career in teaching, research, consulting, and academic leadership. His contributions span premier institutions such as IIT Delhi, XLRI Jamshedpur, and even the Amos Tuck School at Dartmouth College, USA. He has held key editorial roles in international journals, served on the boards of IIT Madras, Indian Oil Corporation, and Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, and was instrumental in shaping the academic direction of IIM Bangalore as its dean and governing board member. Yet, what sets him apart is his deep dedication to Bharatiya Sanskriti. As the founding Vice Chancellor of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth, he pioneered a new wave of higher education rooted in Indic knowledge systems. Over the last 2 decades, he has tirelessly worked to promote Sanskrit and Indian heritage through Samskrita Bharati, National Sanskrit Education Policy, public lectures, and elective courses at IIMB that connect Indian wisdom with contemporary thought. He is the author of the widely used textbook Operations Management, Theory and Practice, and An Introduction to Indian Knowledge System, the first of its kind in India. In recognition of his outstanding contribution to Indian culture and heritage, he was awarded the Vidya Bharati Puraskar, an honor presented by the Jagadguru Sri Vidyatirtha Foundation, Chennai, which was instituted by the Jagadguru Shankaracharya Swami of Sringeri Sharada Peetham, to individuals and institutions that serve our civilizational legacy with distinction. After retiring from IMB, Professor Mahadevan has dedicated himself fully to sharing the timeless teachings of the Gita, Vedanta, and Sanatana Dharma with wider audiences. His life is a glowing example of how one can integrate modern scholarship with spiritual and cultural rootedness. We are very honored and happy to have you here, sir. Thank you very much. And over to Vasudha ji for taking up.
Yeah, Prasad.
1 second, let me. You can see my screen, right? Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Sheshadri. It's a privilege to have you, sir. Namaste all. My name is Prasad Venkatesan, and I'm on part of this trust. So let me introduce the trust and walk through our journey so far. Sri Kamakshi Arsha Samskriti Trust, also known as SCAST in short, is a spiritual and cultural non-profit organization dedicated to the revival and sustenance of Sanatana Dharma. Rooted in the timeless values of our Vedic heritage, the trust promotes Vedic education, supports Veda Pathashala, and engages in Gau Samrakshana. SCAST works for the upliftment of Brahmin community through initiatives in education, health, and livelihood. SCAST conducts dharmic activities to preserve sacred traditions. Our trust, the propagation of traditional knowledge such as Ayurveda, culture, as well as our Dharma. Through our welfare projects, including medical support, marriage, Udvasana, and SCAS continues its mission with compassion and dedication. SCAST also actively collaborates with like-minded institutions and trusts, further its noble objectives. Moving on to the next slide, Udvasana, one of our USP, the sacred ritual signifies that respectful conclusion or ceremonial farewell to a deity. It marks as respectful and heartfelt farewell to divine energies invoked. Rooted in the Vedic tradition, and this act confirms the values of our Sanatana Dharma, thereby ensuring the Swachh Bharat mission. We are collaborating with the Rotary Club. So far, we have conducted 16 events in Bangalore and one in Chennai, and collected over 22 tons of material and sent to the material recycling facility. So in the future, if you would like to conduct some Udvasana, please reach us out and we will help you. Moving on to the next slide, just to give you the perspective of how our journey so far, since SCAST inception in 2023, has been steadfast in nurturing the roots of Sanatana Dharma through various impactful initiatives. The Punya meter symbolizes our collective journey toward Dharma, measuring each noble act as a unit of spiritual merit. Every rupee donated adds one more unit to your Punya meter. A divine reminder that every contribution counts. As highlighted earlier, our members' generous contributions cater to various objectives as below: 40 students in Vedic studies, 40 students for formal regular education, supported several Goshalas, and also conducted Gau rescue campaigns, which is outside of the SCAS donors, which we have run a campaign to ensure that we are protecting the cows. Also organized 22 events of Udvasana, which I talked about earlier, extended our support to critical medical, marriage, and Upanayana needs. Through the divine grace and community spirit, we have grown from 70 to over 350 plus active donors. This chart is not just a reflection of funds raised, but it is a spiritual roadmap of tangible impact we are creating it together. SCAS is a platform to serve, elevate, and grow in Dharma. Let's your Punya meter rise. And thank you. Namaste. Let me hand it over to Mahadevan, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. And Vagarthaviva sampraktau Vagartha pratipattaye Jagata pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. First of all, let me thank the Kamakshi Ashta Samskriti Trust for organizing such a nice program and giving me a privilege to be part of you. Dharma, which is the subject matter today, and this is a very strange phrase. Everybody seems to know the word Dharma, but hardly people know what is Dharma. This is a very strange situation. The word Dharma is very popular, but what it conveys is probably not. So therefore, these kinds of opportunities and occasions are indeed useful, because at least we'll be in a position to cover a few steps, if not a few kilometers or whatever. What I will do I will take about 10, most 15 minutes, not more than that. I will very quickly put together a certain perspective to this Dharma. In fact, I will use the word Sanatan Dharma, but I would, use the word Sanatan Dharma. They're analogous or at another level. Of course, one can make difference between the two also. But for today's purpose, we will say Sanatan Dharma. So let me give a very quick overview of that. And then I will. There are some interesting questions have come, so therefore I would possibly take that also for some discussion. Maybe towards the end we will also see any more discussions required. Is my screen visible?
Sir.
Yes, Professor.
Is the slide moving? Not a problem.
It is not in a presentation mode though.
Oh, I thought I made it in the presentation mode. Let me. So let me go back and.
Sir, in Zoho, you have to share only the presentation mode version. This, I think currently you're sharing this, the PPT version.
Oh, first I have to go to the presentation mode. So let me just try to do that. So first I'm using this Zoho. So I need to get accustomed to this. Just give me a minute. So let me. Okay, so let me try to share now. Is it okay now?
It's coming up, sir. Yes.
Is it moving?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
No, it's correct. Sir. No, it's
Okay. Okay. So let me just take about probably 10 to 12 minutes just to give you a little sense of what Sanatan Dharma is. And then there are I saw some 21 questions have come in, so we will take it up for a little bit of a discussion. That's broadly the plan. Maybe towards the end we can have a. Now, the question, the first and the most important question that we need to ask for ourselves is, why do we need this Sanatan Dharma? I mean, there's so much talk about it. So question is, why do we really, need Sanatan Dharma? So let us spend a little bit of time on that. In fact, there are some basic questions people have, which revolves on what constitutes good living. In fact, quite a few people, well-educated, great professionals, very intelligent. So all these people, many times they have come and asked me, sir, I am a very ethical and a moral person. I don't cheat anybody. I'm ethically very sound. I'm morally very sound. I'm very helpful to others. I'm very compassionate. Does it constitute good living? In fact, many of us think that's it. That's the end of good living. If we are like that, everything is fine. Which works very well in a Semitic religion. In a Semitic religion, this is all constitutes good living. Whereas in Sanatana Dharma tradition, this is just one step. So many people have asked this question: what constitutes good living? So we want to get a little understanding of this. Is goodness of living equal to completeness? People talk about Janma Sapalya and all that. What is this? If I feel good about my living, does that also means I am complete with respect to my what you call it as living? This is another question that we have, and we need a very clarified answer to that. And is there a framework for me to resolve these issues? While I may have these issues, is there a way I can understand it in a nice framework? This is a basic question. For some, it may be a very open question. For some, it may be, they may just look the other way, although these questions may remain. So let us take our dimensions of life. Every individual has 4 dimensions. First of all, there is a personal dimension. I mean, each individual is a person, a single unit called a person. Then each individual has a certain professional dimension, and we are all part of a society. So there is a societal dimension. And of course, we all have our own spiritual dimension also. So there are many questions that emerge in each of these. For example, am I on the right path? This is a personal dimension. Am I on the right path? Am I evolving over time? How to make sense of things happening around me? These questions always remain with us, and we want to know, is there a robust framework for me to get answers to this? At a professional dimension, we may ask, what are my priorities? What are my goals of life? When to step out of something? What next? These kinds of questions come to people from a professional dimension. On a societal dimension, how am I related to the society? Do I have any obligations for the society? How do we actually answer these? And lastly, there are spiritual dimensions. I mean, where from I came and where do I go? Will I come again? Why and how? And do I have a say in this process? So, these are kind of questions which every one of us, every individual, doesn't matter whether you are a male or a female, whether you are young or old, whether you are a North Indian or so, it doesn't matter. I think every individual has these dimensions, and we have these questions. So there is a meta question to all these, and that question is there a way to actually make sense of these? Is there a framework which can help us understand all these? This is exactly where Sanatana Dharma comes. So if you ask me what is Sanatana Dharma, it will answer all these many questions that you have, and many more, in a framework, in an integrated framework, in which these answers will be provided. So that will provide a certain clarity to us in terms of our life. Now, there are many things which come under Sanatana Dharma. I just put one column just as a representative sample. You have Vedas, which is called the Parama Pramana for us. We have a huge knowledge repository, Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. If you read Manusmriti or Vishnu Purana, it talks about Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. There are 14 stages, or even 18. Ashtadasha Vidyasthana is what Vishnu Purana says. This is another way of classifying the same thing. Then, this is a country in which we have what I call it as law of conservation of divinity. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya, mayi sarvamitam prottam sutre maniganaya. The entire second triplet of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7 to 12, is all about what is called Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. So I call it as law of conservation of divinity. Swami Dayananda Saraswati was asked again and again, we have one God. Why do you have, Muppat Mukkodi Tevarhar, 330 million gods? So Swami Dayananda Saraswati said, you have one God. We have only God and nothing else. So 330 million is actually not the number. You got it wrong. It may be the entire trillion species trillions of species that you see in this universe are all God. So that is the law of conservation of divinity. We have an understanding of sojourn of our life. There is a karma theory. Then we have what is called purusharthas. In modern parlance, they talk about goals of life. The equivalent of that in Sanatana Dharma is purusharthas. Then you have varnashrama dharma. You have a notion of yajna and dana, and you have our own paths of self-evolution. Many of these concepts actually comprise Sanatana Dharma. And they keep answering questions. Am I on the right path? Well, the first two will answer that. Our knowledge repository and Veda will tell us, are we on the right path or not? Am I evolving over time? Your Varnashrama Dharma and your paths of self-evolution, which our Sanatana Dharma talks about, will answer that question. How to make sense of happenings? There is a very beautiful karma theory. So that will actually, people understand that, they will actually make sense of what's happening. What are my priorities and goals of life? We have what is called Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Chaturvita Purusharthas. That actually tells us how do you prioritize your life, what you do in your life. When to step out and what next? The Ashrama Dharma is such a beautiful concept of this Varnashrama Dharma, which says what you should be doing and when you should be doing and what you should do next. That is being explained by this Varnashrama Dharma. How am I related to the society? Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. Matta Parataram Nanyathinchid Asti Dhananjaya. Mayi Sarvomitam Protam Sutre Maniganaya. That will inform us. The Vibhuti Yoga and the Vishwarupa Darshana of Bhagavad Gita will explain to us how am I related to the society. What obligations do I have? The Varnashrama Dharma will tell us what obligations do I have. The notion of yajna and dana. Yajna dana tapakarma pavanani manishinam. Not tektavyam, that's what he says. Sri Bhagavan says in the 18th chapter of Gita. That talks about, and our karma theory also talks about niyatam karma, nitya karma, all that. Where from do I come and where do I go? Our punarjanma concepts, our sojourn of life, we'll talk about it. And if we understand that, the nuances of that, we understand answers, we understand what is happening. Will I come again? Why and how? Of course, the entire karma theory is all about that. The agami karma, the sanchita karma, and the prarabdha karma is such a beautiful explanation of a simple aspect of life. And what is that? As you sow, you will reap. You cannot run away from that. You cannot sow some seeds and go away. It will come back to you. It will not disappear. Do I have a say in the process? Of course, we have a say in the process. In fact, the entire idea of karma yoga and doing karma and niyatam karma and nitya karma with naishkarmya bhava will actually help us to have a say in the process. All these are available in Sanatana Dharma. So many of these questions, so all kinds of questions which we are actually having, and to develop a certain clarity of all these is why we need Sanatana Dharma, and Sanatana Dharma indeed provides all that. So Sanatana Dharma in simple terms has certain foundational premises, which I call as Adhishthana. This is the Adhishthana for us. The Veda, which is the Parama Pramana, our knowledge repository, the whole idea of the Advaita Siddhanta, everything is one. Neha Nana Asti Kinchana. That's what it is. Vedas say that. So that is the foundational premise of our existence, which is informed by Sanatana Dharma. Then Sanatana Dharma talks about our life journey also. You have the Punarjanma, you have the Karma, the Varnashrama Dharma. All these actually lays down our journey. In this Janma, our journey is laid down by Varnashrama, and our journey across Janmas. This life, this long journey, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam, all that is informed by Punarjanma and the Karma theory. So that talks about our trajectory, life trajectory. Then, of course, there are a whole lot of things about sustainable living. You have Purusharthas, you have the Yajna and the Dana, and the spiritual path for self-evolution. So all these are, in a nutshell, comprises what you may call it as Sanatana Dharma. As I told you, there is an Adhishtanam, there is a Prayanam, and there is a Vyavaharikam. And somebody who makes a certain understanding of all these and understand the interrelatedness of all these are in a position to actually lead a life which will take them to that Lakshya. And what is that Lakshya? The Lakshya is, Mukti. It's all about liberation from this endless cycle of birth and the Samsara Sagara. We need to do a Tarana of the Samsara Sagara. Avidyaya Mrityum Tirtva Vidyaya Amritamashrute. That's what Ishavasya Upanishad says, that we have to cross the ocean of samsara and finally, reach our ultimate goal of liberation. All those are beautifully laid out in our corpus, and that corpus is collectively called as Sanatana Dharma. We call it as Dharma, we call it as Sanatana Dharma in a very sort of an interchangeable way. So I thought I will give this sort of a background, and with this background, we will set into some of the questions which, SCAS people had actually circulated and they had shared with me. I have put in part of this PPT only. So let me take you through those. I found there were about 21 questions that were asked. And I like the idea of this QA because, Dharma is something which only up to a point you can explain as a concept. I think Dharma is all about Dharma Sukshma. It's all about some of the nuances of actually practicing Dharma. So, that's best done by taking some specific questions and answering. And I'm happy that I found some 21 questions. So let me make an effort to actually answer them. So the first question that I want to take is it possible to give a simple name in Tamil for Sanatana Dharma, as it has to reach the underprivileged and illiterate to understand? So this is the first thing that was asked. So I just thought about it and I've written it here. வாழ்க்கை லட்சியத்தை தெரிவித்து ஒரு நியாயமான நிரந்தரமான சுகத்தையும் இன்பத்தையும் கொடுத்து ஒரு மனிதனை உயர்த்தக்கூடிய கோட்பாடு அல்லது வழிமுறை அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். அதுதான் சனாதன தர்மா. சார் என்ன சார் இவ்வளவு பெரிய சென்டென்ஸ் சொல்றேன்னா we can put it in one phrase. ஒரு உன்னத வாழ்க்கையின் கோட்பாடு வழிமுறை. அதுதான் சனாதன தர்மா is just that. How do you get a pathway, a guidance framework for leading a life which is worth living? So that is a simple way to define in Tamil. So it was one question of definition. So I thought I will take this question first and then answer this. Then there were some questions which came, which were more of conceptual clarity. So I just put them together. One of the questions was Sanatana Dharma being a vast area without frames, to bring oneness in this vast country of heterogeneous lifestyle, habits, languages, all these kinds of things. How do we actually handle these kinds of things? So let me just, I think rather than just putting the questions in front of you all the time, I would rather like to talk to you, so let me just stop, share it, and then keep talking about it rather than putting all these questions in front of you. Okay, so the first question was, vast area without frames and so on. So how do you bring oneness? No, this is something very fundamental to Sanatana Dharma that we need to understand. Oneness, I don't know where from this idea comes, but oneness is not by forcing everyone to do the same thing. In fact, that's where we are actually going. To tell you the truth, that is where we are going. One type of dress, one type of saying hi, one type of breakfast. We are all in some way getting into a path which seems to be one. So I want to tell you that's not the oneness that we should worry about. Eat the same way and things like that. Whereas if you look at Sanatana Dharma talks about, in fact, one of the founding principles of Sanatana Dharma is what is called Prakriti. See, all people cannot be same. All people can be unique. Each one can be unique. Not all can be same. I mean, it's not a cookie cutter. You cannot take a cookie cutter and then keep on. Brahma is not having a standard stencil through which he is pushing one after the other down into the earth. That's not what it is. We have what is called Prakriti Guna Sambhavaha. Every one of us have a Prakriti. So first of all, there is variety in Vyavahara. So this idea of oneness needs to be understood properly. Whereas these communists, believe all these modern leftists are all talking one. All are equal. All cannot be equal. How can all be equal? If 5 fingers become equal, I have to just chop off this hand. This is of no use. The 5 fingers have to be of different shape and length, and only then it becomes useful. In the Samaja, all cannot be equal. And these communists, in their anxiety to make all equal, instead of making all Kuberas, they have made all of them Kushelas. That's what they did. Finally, that's what they ended with. So that's not what it is. Oneness means that we are all bound by a common set of principles, which is called Sanatana Dharma, which mean these purusharthas, these founding principles of punarjanma. That's where the oneness is. That's why Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham mama vartman vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. All roads lead unto me. So this fixation about oneness should not be construed as a mechanism by which you collapse everything into a single thing. But that's what Semitic religion is. Let them have it. That's okay. We don't have to buy that argument. Our oneness is the oneness of the Advaita Siddhanta. In Paramarthika, there is oneness. In Vyavaharika, there is variety. So we have to, balance the concept of, this Paramarthika with Vyavaharika. So that is how we have to understand this question. So there is a second, there are a couple of questions, which is, this, my answer leads to it. How to balance between Paramarthika and Vyavaharika? How much Artha is enough considering modern lifestyle? This is one question. Okay. And the second question is, as Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, see me in everyone and everything. How do we actually do this? Especially in people who test our patience and push our limits. So the question is, we see differences, but then Krishna says, see me everywhere and everything. So how do we balance between these? So there are two questions here. One is balancing between Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. Other is, how much of Artha is enough. Now, this how much of Artha is enough, how this question is answered in Sanatana Dharma? In Sanatana Dharma, we have what is called Purusharthas. Okay? There's something called Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. This Moksha is Apavarga. So you just, put it aside. So we have Dharma, Artha and Kama. So to answer how much is enough, we need to understand this Dharma, Artha and Kama has a strict order in which it should be positioned. Dharma, we need Dharma. Dharmo, Dharmo Dharyate Jayat. Jagat, that's what he says. Yad Dharana Sanyuktam Saha Dharma iti Nischitaha. Dharma is the fundamental building block of sustainability. The word Dharma comes from a Sanskrit root dharane, quote, behold. So the modern discussion on sustainability, if you ask me, sir, give me an equivalent Indian word for sustainability, I'll call it Dharma. Because it comes from the root dharane. So Dharma. Dharmasya anusarena artha. Arthasya anusarena kama. This is the order. You have to be dharmic because that is the foundation. On the basis of the dharma, whatever you earn is whatever you have as wealth is your wealth. And whatever wealth you have to, condition your karma according to it. But what is happening today? We have imbibed the Western idea. The Purushartha is exactly reverse now. First he says, have your wish list. First bring your karma first. Okay? Kamasya anusarena artha. I want this, so let me find out where the money is. If you say you don't have the money, then a banker says, don't worry, I'll give you EMI. Why are you worried? Whatever wish you have, I will provide money for you. So, kamasya anusarena artha. And kama and artha, if it is not violated, let us try to practice dharma. So, we have reversed this purushartha. So, how much is enough? The only way you answer is dharma, dharmasya anusarena artha. Arthasya anusarena kama. If you lead a life like that, this question becomes infectious. We don't need to ask this question. The question comes only because the order is a little bit, sometimes confusing in our mind. Now, balancing of Paramarthika and Vyavaharika is extremely important because it is very important. I agree with that. The only thing is we should not mix one with the other. There is this interesting story many of you would have heard. There was a great Advaita Vedanta teacher, and there was a Sishya. So the teacher, explained greatly the Advaita Siddhanta, that the world is one, everything is all, Sarvam Vishmayam Jagat, Sarvam Kallidam Brahma, all that, Vedantic sentences and all that. As they were having the lessons one day, there was an elephant which was in an inebriated state. Come running towards the Sishya and the teacher. The teacher immediately, because there was this Mahout, the Mahout was saying, this elephant is in a inebriated state, run away, run away. So the teacher climbed the tree. The Shishya sat there saying, Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. The world is one. So he just sat. The elephant came, just took this Shishya and then threw it and then it went away. Fortunately, it didn't trample this Shishya to death, his punya. So the teacher slowly came down from the tree. So the student asked, sir, you taught so much of Advaita Vedanta. Moment, for everything is one, you said, then why did you go? Then the teacher said, you saw, Advaita in the elephant, I saw Advaita in the Mahot. That's the only difference. I also saw Advaita, you also say Advaita. You saw Advaita in elephant, I saw Advaita in Mahot. The story here is, please understand, Vyavaharika and Paramarthika should not be mixed. You cannot say, Sarvam, everything is same. Bring 1 kilogram of stone. Let us cook our lunch. You cannot cook lunch with stone. You'll go to the dentist if you do that. Okay. So, Vyavaharika starts when there is difference. Paramarthika starts when differences end. So, therefore, so how do we balance these two? The idea is Paramarthika informs our life. The oneness is a big picture on the wall. You have to put the big picture on the wall. That is called Paramarthika. And many decisions that we make in Vyavaharika must be informed by that grand vision of Paramarthika. That is how we have to balance it. We should not foolishly take one idea and superimpose on the other. That's not done. Vyavaharika means there must be differences. Now, while handling the differences, you can have compassion, you can have empathy, because all of them come from what is called Paramarthika. If you think the world is one, then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that Daridra Narayana. He says a beggar is a Narayana. So I will kneel down and offer, I thank you because you gave me an opportunity to help you. So that is where the Paramarthika come while you are engaging in Vyavaharika. That's why in Maitreya Upanishad Sikshavalli, there is a very beautiful 11th Anuvaka, it is there. Shraddhaya deyam, Ashraddhaya deyam, Biya deyam, Kriya deyam, Samvidha deyam. When you give, there are a lot of things being told. These are all part of our Sanatana Dharma. Shraddhaya deyam, we could have stopped there. But the Upanishad went one step ahead. It wanted to make this communication very unambiguous. It said Ashraddhaya adeyam. You should not give without Shraddha. You could have said you give with Shraddha. You could have stopped there. If you stop there, there are occasions when you would have given without Shraddha also. You have to preclude that possibility. Then Kriya deyam and Biya deyam. The person who is receiving would never feel hurt. You should have that sankocha when you give. You should not throw it like that. See, Dhanam is not a force of gravity. You are at the top and then some fellow is at the down. And then, your Karuna Kataksha is falling on him. You throw some rupee. No, never like that. All these are the concepts of Paramarthika, even when you engage in an act of Vyavaharika. So that is the balancing that we must understand. So our Sanatana Dharma will inform us those things. So that is what it is. Okay. Vyavaharika is driven by Swadharma, Swabhava, concepts like Dharma and Karma Yoga, all those will drive. That's how the Paramarthika merges with Vyavaharika. Okay. Then there are a couple of questions. How to work on Purva Karma? That's one question. There's another question, good practices and tips and tricks on Chitta Shuddhi. So these are in a way related. So I thought I will take both the questions together. First, working on Purva Karma. Please understand, there is nothing to work on Purva Karma. You have already sown your seed. You put your hands and take it. So working on Purva Karma is not possible. Working for Agami Karma is possible. You understand, Karma has 3 components. Imagine there is a big storage. Imagine there is a big storage. The storage can hold so much of something. And you have some repository of something there. Imagine you have a cup. And what you can take is, you can dip it into the storage, you can take 1 cup equivalent. Beyond that, it starts overflowing. So you can take only 1 cup, right? So this 1 cup you scoop from that storage is called Sanchita Karma. All the mischief we have done in thousands of janmas are all lying there. Then you have taken 1 scoop, no? That is called Prarabdha Karma. Prarabdha, well started. That is the meaning. Prakrishena Arabdha. That's why it is called Prarabdha. So in this janma, we are actually going through something for which you have no control. You have to go through it. We have one choice, and that is, while going through it, if you do more mischief, you are actually adding some more into the tank. See, you brought 1 cup to consume, and you ended up adding 100 cups to the storage tank. You just imagine a situation like that. Then the storage tank will only become bigger and bigger and bigger. So the only thing we can do is, we can make sure that future karmas don't accumulate for me. Agami karma, if you can reduce, you are on your finite number of janmas in which you will get mumukshutva. So how to work on Purva karma? Let Purva karma come, take it with folded hands. You are only, experiencing what mischief you did, or what good or bad, both. What good or bad, both you are only experiencing. But if you can make sure that you are not adding any more karma into your storage, which is called Agami karma, then you are on a finite path of moksha. So that is how we need to actually work on the Purva karma. Now, the other question is, what are 1 or 2 things that we can do for Chitta Shuddhi? Now, the easiest way to answer that is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna has done in the first triplet of Bhagavad Gita. Adi Shankara Bhagavad in Viveka Chudamani says, Karmaha Chitta Shuddhyartena Vastu Lapyate. Vastu Siddhi Vicharena. Okay, that's what he says. Na karma koti bihi. So why do we do work? We do work. Of course, we get promotion, we get salary raise, we get to buy another car. All those are fine. They're all sub bullets. There is a main bullet why we engage in work in this world. Why? Chitta Shuddhi. Work has to be done with the spirit of Chitta Shuddhi. If you do work with Chitta Shuddhi, that really, makes us a much better individual. And this is where the whole idea of Karma Yoga is beautifully laid out in Bhagavad Gita. So the tips and tricks of doing Chitta Shuddhi revolves around the core principle of Karma Yoga. Karma Neva Adhikaraha Mahapaleshu Kadachana. Ma Karma Pala Hetur Bhohu Ma Te Sangastu Karmani. We have to get inspired by that and do everything that we do in our life with that kind of an orientation. Chitta Shuddhi will definitely happen. So I will hold on to this great pillar called Karma Yoga. Karma Chitta Shuddhyate, what Bhagavad Gita says will happen. So that is how we should understand this. There's another question, what are different darshanas of Sanatana Dharma? Okay, in our Chaturdasha Vidyasthana, okay, we have the Chaturdasha are made of 4 Vedas, then 6 Vedangas, then the Darshanas are all part of it, and Dharma Shastras and Smritis. This is how the 14 are coming in a particular way. So we have 6 Darshanas. Of course, there is a Nastika Darshana and Astika Darshana. In the concept of Sanatana Dharma, it is called Astika Darshana. So there are 6 Darshanas which are called Astika Darshana. See, Astika, Nastika means, in a common parlance, we take it as God is there and God is not there. That's not meaning. Astitva, you believe in yourself existing, you are Astika. First, you have to believe you exist. And you existed in the previous Janma, you existed in the next Janma, also you become an Astika. You are an Astika. If you don't believe in yourself, you are a Nastika, actually. Astiti yasya shraddha vartate saha Astika. Now, in the Darshana concept, Astika Darshana means that believes in the existence of Veda as their primordial repository. Astitva of the Vedas. That's why it's called Astika Darshana. Whereas Buddha and Jaina are Nastika Darshana because they don't, recognize explicitly the Vedas. So they are called Nastika Darshana and so on. Anyway, the 6 Darshanas are 3, they belong to 3. You can bracket them into 3. One is called Nyaya and Vaisheshika. This is the first set of 2 Darshanas. It talks about, all the 6 Darshanas, you know what they do? They answer only one question. And that question is, What is the relationship between Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara? All of us have this question. We all exist as an individual. There is some universe around me, and there is a larger force. Different religions may call it with different names. Even within us also, somebody will say it is Vishnu, somebody will say it is Ganapatya, somebody will say Kaumara. Doesn't matter. We all believe there is a larger force called Ishvara. So what is the linkage between these three? It's called Triputi, Mahatriputi. Jiva Jagat Ishvara Sambandhasya Vishaya Eva Darshana Shastre Nirupitam Vartate. This is being discussed in Darshana Shastra. Now what has happened? Nyaya and Vaisheshika has described it in a particular way. They have talked about the existence of reality. It's called Pramana, Prameya and Pramata. So it's a Pramana Shastra and Prameya. Nyaya is the Pramana Shastra, establishing it with valid forms of knowledge and establishing what exists. These are Nyaya and Vaisheshika. They took that approach to actually establish Jiva Jagat Ishvara in some ways. Then came another two darshanas. It's called Sankhya and Yoga. Both of them have again is riding on the same idea. It says every individual is made of 24 components. The Sankhya Darshana talks about 24 elements and how you can do a chitta shuddhi by your controlling of your mind. You will be able to see the connection between these. So they took that route. So they explained it in great detail, Sankhya and Yoga. They form one club. Then came two more darshanas. One is called Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa says that you can achieve salvation, and all of them talks about salvation only at the end of the day. So Purva Mimamsa says the only way you will reach salvation is being quite diligent about your karma kanda. The importance of karma kanda, how you have to do karma. So they said that's the approach. Shankaracharya's great debate with Mandana Mishra is only on this particular aspect, and the Vedanta, Uttara Mimamsa, is called Vedanta. It talked about going beyond the karma kanda into the jnana kanda to reach salvation. So the 6 darshanas are talking about salvation. 6 darshanas connect these 3 and create an unison in different ways. So those are the 6 darshanas. Then you have Bauddha and Jaina, and of course there is one Charvaka also, which is what most of us are practicing today, thinking world is for enjoyment and nothing else, and so on and so forth. Anyway, there are a couple of other questions. One is there any record of Sanatani deities and big temples before Buddha of the Buddhism? Why is temple given so much importance? So the question revolves around temple. That's the question that, but I have been asked this question in many ways, many times. Now let's keep the temple, all that aside. How do we know there is electricity? I mean, you could have read everything about electricity. What it does, etc. There are only 2 ways to know. One way I will say, please don't try it. You can put your hand somewhere and switch on, and then you will get a shock. I mean, that's not the way. I'm just saying one way to know electricity is to actually experience it by putting your hand. I mean, that's not a good idea. In a very humorous way, I said that. But how do I know there is electricity? I switch on the light glows. I switch on the fan, and oh, there is electricity. This is called vibhuti. The power of manifestation is the only way you can know a concept. Suppose the whole world had no electrical gadgets. There is absolutely no electrical gadgets of any kind. Of what use is knowing electricity? Please tell me. Because I can read about it. I can get 100 on 100. This is what our kids are doing. They get 100 on 100 moral science and become immoral in life. So this moral science 100 marks is of no use. You have to actually, practice morality. In the same way, knowing about electricity is of no use if you don't know how to actually experience it. Right? We all agree. So how do I know God? I mean, you can keep on talking about God. You can say God is there. Secondly, this electricity example is also telling us something. What is it telling? Electricity will not be available. I cannot put a hand on the wall and then I'll get electricity. Electricity will manifest only in some points, by the way. It will not manifest in all over the place. Although electricity is sarvavyapi. Electricity is everywhere. Today, cash is everywhere. But moment I log into because it is in the ether, cash is in the ether. It is called, e-cash. But moment I log into ICICI.com, I see money there. Right? So God is everywhere. How do you see God? How do you experience God? That's why you need temple. There are places where there is the vibhuti of that. The power of manifestation is stronger, which will inspire people. That is why you need temple. Okay. Now you say, sir, why we did not have temple before and why you are suddenly talking about temples? That we can answer. In chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chesasam avyakta hi gatir dukkam dehavadbhi ajayate. People who are very body oriented, body conscious, body oriented, very physical people, for them Nirguna Upasana is not possible. Kleshaha adhikataraha tesham avyakta sakta chesasam avyakta hi gatir dukkam dehavadbhi ajayate. That's what Krishna says in chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. So why do you need God? Because not all of us can do Nirguna Upasana. We need Saguna Upasana. We need to start there. After several janmas, we may not need it. See, the child, when it walks, it needs a walker. I don't need a walker today. I may need a walker at the age of 90. That's a different story. I don't need a walker after I know how to walk. In the same way, we need a Saguna Upasana before we can go to, there is no shortcut and then jump straight to Nirguna Upasana. You can't meditate on unknown things and so on. So the importance of deity is more than one. I just gave 2 examples. I can give a dozen examples, but I will stop here for want of time. I will, sort of leave it at this. Why is there a change in women's gotram after marriage? This is again a very interesting question. Please understand, there is a deep tatparya here. The tatparya is the woman belongs to the gotram where she went. Finally, she actually belongs to that gotram. Okay, the woman, that girl is brought out by parents. We use the word parents because they are biological parents, na? So brought out by the parents is only temporarily for some time, but eventually our Sanatana Dharma says this lady belongs to this gotram. Why? Because this lady is a Sahadharma Charini. That family to which she goes, that family will have an Uddharana only because of this lady. Otherwise, it's not possible. Today, we have forgotten all that. We think it is a very wretched thing to, go to an in-laws place. The in-laws also behave like that. That's not what it is. The child, the girl child after marriage, lights the lamp of Dharma in every family. And without that married woman, there is no Dharma possible. A married man cannot do any, smartha karya. You do upasana first, I don't know how many of you have noticed. First, what the Vadyar will say? The Vadyar will ask the Yajamana to call the Yajamani and take her permission. Can he do? If she says no, that's the end of the story that day. Nobody says no. I'm just saying that she is Sahadharma Charini. Tamil kula velakku solluva. She lights the lamp of Dharma. And how do you signal it? By saying, change the Gotha. Because without you, this family is nothing. I want every in-laws to understand it. I want every in-laws on both sides, the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law, father-in-law and the son-in-law. Everybody must understand. The in-laws must understand this broader principle. That is what is indicated by the Gotra Parivartana, which is one of the important rituals during marriage. It's not that, we're disowning our parents and nothing like that. They're all lower level and we haven't understood the tatparya of what it is. I think we'll be eternally grateful to our parents, boys or girls. That's a different story. That's not what it is. Okay. These are questions on some conceptual clarity. Then there are some questions which has come, which are related to practicing Sanatana Dharma, if I were to say. So the first question, while many ancient practices prescribed for us are getting difficult to follow due to the ecosystem and change in the normal, within quotes normal, how can one live without having the guilt that we are not on the right path? So it's a very loaded question. It's a very loaded question. There are very important things which are being communicated here. First, it says ancient practices are difficult to follow. And why? Because ecosystem has changed, the normal has changed. And then finally it says, how can we live without guilt that we are not on the right path? So let me actually answer this. I mean, this needs to be understood very well. First of all, Difficult, the word difficult, it's a difficult to follow, no? Please understand, difficult to follow is actually a mindset. It's not the reality. I want you to deeply think about it. Difficult is a manasika vyapara. It is something to do with mind. It has something, nothing to do with reality. You ask, sir, how do you say? You change your phone from Motorola, you go to, something else. Okay. And after that, you buy an Apple. After some time, you do it. And how much time you spend to get accustomed to the new system there? You change the software in your office, suddenly they change something, right? You change a car, and today car comes with a 500-page manual. For the last 15 years, I've stopped. I'm a good engineer, but I have stopped reading the manual. My interests have completely shifted. So I'm driving a car without knowing what is there in the car. I have lost that interest, by the way. But many of us don't. We sit down and then read. Who said it is difficult to change? We are very preferentially, making statements. We are saying it is different. It is very difficult to follow. I leave it to you. You decide what is difficult to follow, because there are many things which are difficult to follow. You invest and then you follow. So therefore, this difficulty is a manasika vyapara. It is just a mindset issue. So I will put it out of the window now. To me, there is nothing like difficult. Difficult is your choice. There is nothing difficult, nothing easy. These are all in our choice. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. That's what Manusmriti says. Your mind decides. So you better do something about it. So that is one keyword out of this: difficult to follow. Then it says the guilt. How do you live without having the guilt? I want to tell you, please, when your operating system changes, your gadget changes, your mission changes, you bought a new house. I mean, people keep changing houses these days. Completely different. You have to, start everything anew. Right? Sarvan made everything. Tell me that is easy. If you tell me it is easy, I am not going to buy that argument. That's also difficult to follow. I mean, you go to a new locality, you start afresh, everything, you have to prime the engine from zero and all that. So please, when you do all that, I would only, request you to take a similar approach to matters of Sanatana Dharma, rather than finding ways to run away from it and not feeling guilty. I don't think there's no way you cannot feel guilty. I don't find it possible. Better live with the guilt. So we can, adjust how much guilt you want to have and how much you want to practice. All these choices we make in life. So therefore, I don't think I will be able to give a solution in which we can live without the feeling of guilt by satisfying ourselves. There is a new normal. Things are difficult to follow. Ecosystem has changed. Sir, let me tell you, I don't think so. As a 16-year-old boy, I went into the College of Engineering Gindi hostel. And evening 5:30, they left me in the hostel. 6 o'clock, it is time for me to do Sandhya Vandana. I just put, pattai and then do Sandhya Vandana. The Veeramani's son comes and tells me, you have to cut off your poonal. This is the ragging I went through. I said, hell with you, you can cut me off. So the choices we have to make. Choices are not available elsewhere. We can make our choices. I have lived my own life with practices. I'm not saying I'm following everything diligently. Don't get me wrong. Just gave an example to say that it is in our mind. Let's make and let us show it and let us make it happen and so on. Now, difficulty is after all difficulty is after all an idea in the mind. That it is true or not is in the hands of a person. If we succumb to the mind, of course, it is difficult. If we revolt against the mind, then it is a different story altogether. That's why Manusmriti says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. That's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Uttaret atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva bandhuhu atmanam atmaiva ripuratmana. Your mind is your friend or enemy. You make a choice. Lastly, nobody says, I'll skip food because it is very difficult. I mean, you go to Japan, you go to China, you'll have only snakes and all kinds of things to eat. So are you going to tell me I have a 2-week trip to Japan, it is very difficult to follow, I will now start either skip food or eat? Nobody does all that. How many of us are doing it? We prepare, we get something, At the end of it, we find a Subway. In Subway, they give you the maatuklam podra mari kudupa. They just cut some, the muttakos adella cut panni or heap. They give one heap. Just what we feed to cow in the morning and the evening. That we eat all that, and then we also live. If you are, if you are ready, what I mean to say is, this is a choice that we have to make. Nobody says, I'll skip food. It is very difficult to follow, so let me skip food for the next 1 week. No, we don't, because we think it is important. So it is a question of priorities that we need to establish for ourselves. Okay, then there are 5 questions which are related to one another. So I'll put up all the 5 questions and then answer it. What are 1 or 2 things that each individual should do to protect and uphold our Sanatana Dharma? That's one question. Where to start the practice is another question. How do we make Hindus realize that Sanatana Dharma won't sustain by itself, but needs active practice, defending and protection by us? So, protecting Dharma. The second time it is coming. Protect and upholding Dharma. And then what are the requirements for Sanatana Dharma's future? This is another question. How to spread awareness of Sanatana Dharma among Hindus? So there are 2 blocks of questions here. One is, how do you protect Dharma? In fact, once they called me to give a talk, and it's all about nature. So they said, Professor Mahadevan will tell us how to protect nature. Then I said at the beginning, sorry, you got it wrong. Nature needs absolutely no helping hands from you to protect. If you have any sense, protect yourself. Nature doesn't need any helping hand from you. It took 3 hours in a place called, Kedarnath to wind the clock by 150 years. Nature required only 3 hours. So don't talk all these. Protecting nature, human chain, that's not what nature needs. No helping hand from ordinary mortals like you and me. Same is true of Dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, dharma eva hato hanti. So we don't have to usurp the role of protecting Dharma. You protect yourself. So let me first clarify. We don't have to. Sanatana Dharma requires no helping hand. You may need a helping hand. So I want to, turn the question the other way. How do I protect myself? And while Sanatana Dharma is there, rather than saying, how do I protect Sanatana Dharma needs no protection. It will just wipe you off and then create what is called pralaya. It will start all over. If things go out of hand, yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati, tada atmanam srijamyaham, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavani yuge yuge. I think the nature will know how to, sort it out. Dharma is also part of nature. So I don't think we need to protect Sanatana Dharma, but then we can ask, what do we do with Sanatana Dharma? And that is seems to be the intent of that question. How do you spread? The other question is awareness of Sanatana Dharma among Hindus. What are those 1 or 2 things we have to do? Okay. I think the most, in fact, I was on a recent UK trip where I lectured on Sanatana Dharma in some 15 cities over 6 weeks and so on. This question came quite often. So my answer was very simple. By actively practicing Sanatana Dharma and showcasing how it is eminently possible to do so, even when we are in the thick of our active life. I think this is the most important thing that we need to do. Today I am tired of this WhatsApp forward. Sanskrit is important. Nobody knows Sanskrit, by the way. But everybody is busy, sending WhatsApp forward. Sanskrit is the ancient language. Everything is available. I asked them, do you know Sanskrit? I don't know. Why did you forward? You read here, don't forward. Why are you forwarding? I asked my friends. Why are you forwarding this? You read. If you believe in it, you read it. Also, we keep on forwarding the virtues of Sanatana Dharma, etc. When it comes to practicing Sanatana Dharma, we don't have time. So the only way we can not protect Dharma, but protect us is actually practice. Now we can, start somewhere. I am sometimes with tears, I feel very bad that the great acharyas, our acharyas, whether it is Kanchi Acharya, Shringeri Acharya, whoever it is, what level they have come to? They address Brahmins saying, please do Sandhya Vandana. This is like asking you to go to LKG. Acharyas are asking us to do LKG till we die. This is the pathetic situation we are in, because Trikala Sandhya Vandana Brahmins are not doing. Adityehi gatararha samkshiyate jivitam. Vyaparehi bahukarya gurbihi kalopi na jnayate. Like Bhartrihari said, we are too busy with 100 things. We don't have time to do Sandhya Vandana. So Acharyas, instead of putting us in great marga of evolution, is only giving a simple advice. Please do Sandhya Vandana. That's the level we have reduced ourselves. So if you ask, what do you do Sanatana Dharma? We can actually practice it. We can stop all what's the forwards actually. Instead, we can, if we think Sanskrit is great, let us start Sanskrit. If we think Sanatana Dharma is great, let us do Sanatana Dharma. Let us find out what is meant. I start with, Sandhya Vandanam. There are so many things that we can, if we start, we know the path. We need to start. So, look at the Muslims, particularly, and the Christians to an extent. They don't trade out certain core elements with other things in life at all. Whenever you see these Muslims do the 5 times namaz and so on, so these guys are, although they're putting it on as some wrong, sometimes they do wrong thing, but they're very strong on all these. That's all we need to do. The easiest and straightforward method is to practice it in letter and spirit. That's the most important thing. For example, right, without any compromise at any cost, we should do Trikala Sandhya Vandana. We must do Pitru Sharda. People have no time for Pitru Sharda today. Nitya Devata Aradhana. These are the basic building blocks of Sanatana. We have not even been able to do that. Let's start there and then let us ask what more we need to do. I think Pitru Sharda Karya is not done, which is above Deva Karya. In the pecking order, if today there is a puja and there is a Pitru Karya, you just put puja and close it. Do only the Pitru Karya. After the Shardam is over, you can open and then show some Patram, Pushpam, Palam, Toyam. That's the end of it. That is the Sanatana Dharma is very clearly laid out how to do it. And Sanatana Dharma is very practical, by the way. For example, there is a huge calamity and there is a whole, big war, and today is a Pitru Shraddha. Let's say my father's Shraddha today. You know what Sanatana Dharma says? If you are not able to find ways to do it, go to the open ground and then cry for 1 hour. Your Shraddham is done. Understand the spirit of it and the letter of it. In fact, the Kauravas are actually supposed to do Sandhya Vandana, and they actually used sand and then gave Arghya. Ramayana, if you read, in Balakanda alone, if you read, again and again, Valmiki talks about Anika Karya. He says, Vishwamitra, when he takes the 2 children with him, they stop at places and do Sandhya Vandana. That is being explained. All these are saying basic building blocks of Sanatana Dharma. Let's get that first right. If you do it, I think we will cover a ground, lot of ground. We can, another important thing that we can do, put serious efforts and time. I quote, I'm putting it in quote, efforts and time. Serious efforts and time to imbibe Sanatana Dharma in our children during their growing stages. Not by preaching, by practicing along with them and showing them the path. Unfortunately, today I find in a lot of Brahmin families, children, I can't do anything. I'll keep them away. I can't do anything to them. I can't tell them anything. I don't know what nonsense is this. I don't understand. If you are not able to bring your children in the path of Dharma, who is going to do? They don't want to tell anything to their children. So these children grow without any, In fact, at some stage, I used to tell in my locality, if you put Upanayana, bring to my house, I will teach them Sandhya Vandana, because 1 week, if you teach, the boy will actually pick up. Particularly if you do it in Garbhashta or Janmashta, 4 days is enough. But then I realized the father is not doing. Why would the child do? If the father is not doing, the child will laugh at the back of the father. That's what is happening. So no preaching business, practicing business. You sit with the child and tell Vishnu Sahasranama. Then the child will understand the importance of Devata Aradhana. So we have to imbibe this practice. We have time for everything because both of us are working. We are too busy with everything. We don't have time for bringing the next generation in a very dharmic way. That has been deprioritized today. If we can prioritize Sanatana Dharma, not Sanatana Dharma will be protected, we will be protected by Sanatana Dharma. That's what so these are some of the things that we can do which will answer all these. These are the requirements for Sanatana Dharma's future. This is how we can make Hindus realize Sanatana Dharma is important. This is where to start the practice. All these questions I have sort of answered this way. Then there are a couple of questions. How to have conviction on spiritual path without getting distracted. How to seek a perfect guru. So to have a conviction on the spiritual path without getting distracted, you need a guru. That's why I put both those questions together. To make this happen, of course, we need a guru. But then there is a certain misunderstanding about this guru. This guru is not something which you can actually select. Or, today you can go to a website and then you can do a matching. I will take this guru, I will take that guru, I will go to a shop and buy. That's not what it is. Unfortunately, the guru is not like that. Guru comes to you and God shows you the guru when you are ready. And the question therefore is, how do I become ready for the guru? The guru may come in the form of a book. The guru may come in the form of your child. The guru may come in the form of somebody who is your neighbor. The guru comes in different ways. This is what Sanatana Dharma says. So how do I prepare myself? Number one, we must earnestly pray. In our prayers, we should ask for a guru. We should do a Nitya prayer in which we should say, please show me a guru. That the longing, the intensity of the longingness takes us closer to a guru. And the more we long for a guru, God will show us the guru. And once the God shows the guru, the rest is all. So I will tell you, sun is not powerful. Stone is more powerful than sun. That's why you cannot walk on the stone in the temple prakaras. You have the stone which is very hot. 11 o'clock, you cannot walk. These days, they paint some white paint on that, and some temples I see it. So somebody told me that the Swami is not powerful, the Bhakta is powerful, sun is not powerful, the stone is powerful because it has absorbed all the heat and then it is far more powerful. Same way, the Guru is what we need. Guru is powerful than the God for us. And the Guru will take us where he need to take us. That is what will happen. So look for a Guru, pray for a Guru, Guru will appear. So that's what it is. In today's complex world, how do we practice stillness, sthita prajna, in spite of the noise in the outside world? The interesting thing is the noise in the outside world. Sthita prajna has nothing to do with the noise happening in the outside world. Sthita prajna is a matter of the world inside. World inside is very different from world outside. So Sthita prajna is all about world inside. And therefore, it is all about, it is again a manasika vyapara. In Kathopanishad, there is a very beautiful shloka. It says, Avrita chakshuhu amritatvam ichhan. It says, God is so bad, so unkind. He has put all these sensory organs like this, looking outside. If there is a way, you can turn it. If there is a switch and you press the switch, all sensory organs turn inside. Then you'll reach mukshutva. God is very unfair and very unkind. He has not given us a mechanism to turn it. That's what Kathopanishad says. Avrita chakshuhu amritatvam ichhan. So therefore, if you have to become sthita prajna, turn your attention inside, notwithstanding the noise outside. Noise outside cannot be stopped. Ala onju samudra snanam pannave mudiyadu. Ala oyave oyadu. So that's not the way. In the same way that, don't worry about these noises outside. Look for that silence inside. And for which meditation, a little bit of upasana, nitya devata aradhana, puja, satsanga, all these are actually ways by which we can actually, diligently do that practice. And of course, with the help of a guru, Shravana and Manana and all that, slowly that kind of a thing will happen. You long for it, you put your efforts for it, and then just leave it. The grace will happen when it is supposed to happen. Okay, there are last couple of questions. Should Sanatana go on the offense? So I didn't understand this question because offense is antithesis to Sanatana Dharma. There is nothing like offense in Sanatana Dharma. I mean, ahimsa paramo dharma. So we don't have to go. So I didn't understand what exactly meant by offense, but certainly I can tell you it's nothing to do with offense against what or whom. or all that is not. It's not even. We don't have to even proselytize like the Semitic religions. None of those. Brahmacharya, you may know. People have other religions, when they come and ask Brahmacharya, he said, to follow your religion, that is Sanatana Dharma. You be in what you are. So we don't have to go on the offense and so on. Sanatana Dharma is a wide canvas. It is all inclusive. It can accommodate anything and everything. I think we should be inspired by Sanatana Dharma and we practice it. The rest will fall in place. That is how I will actually understand this. Why our Sanatana Dharma is not able to unite people like a string of pearl? We need to think like a cohesive single unit which can usher the prosperity of our Mother India and all walks of people. Well, this is not happening. For all that I said, we are not laying the foundation. How many parents are interested in actively equipping their children with the ideas of Sanatana Dharma? Why are we not able to catch them young and imbibe the important principles of life? Look at, I'm talking very implicitly, not directly. Today, looks like our goal of life is all about amassing material wealth. Everything that we do and coach our children and push them goes there. Do a good degree, go abroad, do a degree in the US, take a good job, and it's all revolving around material assets. I don't know who is investing on Sanatana Dharma for what. So the only common thread is keeping all of us fully informed of Sanatana. That's the only one which will unite like a pearl, like a string, Sutre Manigana Iva. So the only way we can do it is we have to be very, very aware of Sanatana Dharma, not as knowledge, but as practice. Carry it down the generation, pass it on down the generation, we will be united. There's nothing more we really need. I think I'll stop here. These are some 21 questions that came. I have been a little blunt. Bear with me. I didn't mean to offend anyone or anything. I mean, out of emotion, I have spoken like this. So if I had said anything which offended anything, I'll apologize for that. There was no intention of that. And I've been a little more stronger and blunt in passing some of the ideas of what is happening and so on. So I think with that, I will close my part of it. I'll hand it over to the, whoever is running the show. Yes.
Professor, can we take a couple of questions? Just a couple of questions if we have time.
Yes, we can do. We can take another maximum 10 minutes. I have to 5:30 leave somewhere, but we can go up to no problem, another 10 minutes.
Yes. So if anybody has any questions, can just put it in the comment box. We will read it out. Any questions, Prasadji?
I don't see anything. I don't see anything.
Yes.
It's more of a comment. Thank you, Ganesh.
One question.
Go ahead.
Can a woman do Sandhya Vandanam? That is a question, Mahadevan.
Yeah. Okay. I have, can women chant Vedas? Can women do Sandhya Vandanas and so on? Actually, I have written a full book of question answers on Sanatana Dharma. Actually, in which I have answered this in a fair amount of detail. Anyway, so I will go back to one step back and I would want to ask, why do you want to do Sandhya Vandana? It's important to ask that question. Or if people say that, I want to chant Veda, I want to ask, why do you want to chant Veda? I would like you to go one step back and ask that question. Because if your purpose is to achieve something, and if that can be achieved without performing Sandhya Vandana and Veda, you must do it. Then you have actually two things in your hand. One, you did not violate some accepted convention. You had the satisfaction of not doing it, and you met your objective. So therefore, I would go one step backward and ask, why do you want? In fact, most of the gents don't know why they do Sandhyavandana. That's a pathetic story. So you don't get into the trap. Most of the people don't know why they are doing Sandhyavandana. That's why they have abandoned it. Therefore, if you can ask, why do you want to do Sandhyavandana? I mean, I would take a reasonable assumption that every one of us have only one goal in this world. Whether you are a male or a female, or you are a child, or you are African, or an Indian, or you are a Christian, or you are a Hindu, doesn't matter. The goal is, I want complete sense of contentment, happiness, and liberation. That's all we need. So if you want to live with that goal, my advice is, you don't have to do all this. I have not said it. Krishna has said it in chapter 9 of Gita. You go and read the last 4 slokas of Gita. Point I'm trying to make is, it has been said, some people let some people do it. Then, a person who has no background of finance should not say, I'll come and operate the treasury of the company. That will be not good. So therefore, if I have to do Sandhyavandana and Veda, then I have to go through a certain rigor and practice and so on. Our ancestors thought, given the inherent nature and the vyaktitva of a masculine and a feminine, there are certain things they thought it's not really worthwhile to do it that way. There should be a different ways of doing. I remember my grandmother, my grandmother's mother. She was there today. She would have been probably 130 years. I don't know. I have seen my grandmother's mother. You know what she does? Every day between 2 o'clock in my village, between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, my grandmother, a few ladies will come to their house, and there is one mommy who will come. They will read Bhagavata Purana for 2 hours. This lady will read, the others will listen, and they will do an anusandana of that concept. I think with that approach, my grandmother's mother would have got something more than doing Sandhyavandana, I will tell you. So the question is, please ask what you want. And if to achieve that, you need to do Sandhyavandana, please do it. But for which there are some practices and rituals and things, find out if that is possible and then do it. I don't know whether you want to take that path. You don't achieve anything by doing Sandhyavandana or Veda Parayana. But you can achieve your salvation, you can achieve liberation in 1,000 ways. After exhausting all that, if you think this is the only way you come, that this is the way I will look at it, if that is the intention. If the intention is to say, no, I want to say all are equal, good luck. You can spend your time expressing your equality. You will lose the bus actually. You will actually, operation success, patient failure will happen. Yeah, that's the book. Kamachi, Vasudha Mami is actually showing it. That's the book in which I have some 200 questions I have answered actually in that. In this I have answered in a little more detail. Yeah.
This is a very nice, crisp book, quick guide to Sanatana Dharma, I would say, where Professor has answered a lot of basic questions which we have, which we get day-to-day life. So if anybody wants this, can contact the trust. I mean, it is published by Vyoma and really informative. And thank you, Professor. I think there are many more volumes coming up, right, on this?
No, so I have written 2 books. Now I combined both of them and made a new book also to put both of them together in a new book. But
maybe you can share that so that we will also share with the participants.
Yeah, it's available. It is available also in pothi.com, pothi.com. It's a print on demand. So 1 copy also we can ask, 2 copy also we can ask. It is available in Vyoma and it's available in pothi.com also.
Okay. So this is a very nice guide for an introduction and to further reading. Any other questions? I think the professor is running out of time. Yeah. Shyam, can you give the ending?
There's one question. Women can recite Gayatri Japa.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. Gayatri actually, but to make things more fairer, I think Gayatri Japa, Gayatri Mantra are available in 2 versions. One version is the typical Gayatri which is used as part of the Sandhyavandana. But there is also another version of the Gayatri available, which I think very well ladies can actually recite the Gayatri Mantra. It's not absolutely not an issue actually.
Shyam?
Yeah.
You can do the ending note, yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor. I mean, it was a wonderful talk, and I think we went through a lot of topics, and the Sanatana Dharma is so vast, and you touched upon a lot of topics, and which, I mean, starting from good living, and then you also spoke about Veda's law of conservation of divinity, karma theories, and Varna, especially Varnashrama Dharma, how these are important for our life. And I think the other aspect is also what you had covered is about Sanatana Dharma is how it combines both Paramarthamika Satyam and Vyavaharika Satyam, both into one stream, and how it is able to, in Vyavaharam, how you are able to use your Paramatmik is also a very important point that you brought about, and how Sanatana actually infuses slowly Paramarthamik Satyam into the Vyavaharam and slowly take you to the path of moksha. And the other thing is also, you also spoke about the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and how we are actually today living, we are starting from Kama and then we're going to Artha, rather than starting from Dharma and going Artha and Kama. That is, you need to acquire the Artha for the sake of Dharma and not the other way. So I think that was very informative, and I mean, it gave a lot of clarity for all of us. I think most of us would have experienced it. And also, very interesting point of you get 100 marks in moral science, and then but then there's no moral values eventually. I think that's also something which we are seeing today in the society, where the schools have moral education, but at the end of it, the children don't have any moral values. So that is the irony of the thing. And also the other part is also you had brought about the women being, treated more as Arthacharini than Sahadharmacharini these days. So, and I think the last point also which you brought about is also the difficulty that we are facing in practice is more about our priorities rather than actually it being difficult. Maybe it is also due to our own ignorance of what is the benefit that we are going to get. And probably it is much more than what we are seeing. So I think that's how I'll put it. And very nice to have your thing. I think one more thing I want to do is I think you also touched upon Nitya Karma for Chitta Shuddhi, and also you had talked about the Panchamaha Yajnam. That was the Pitru Karma and all the aspects of it. So I think in this small time you had covered a lot of topics, so which even for us to comprehend is quite long. It's a long way for us also to go. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for joining. I'm sure we'll be having a lot of questions, asking Professor to come once more for another talk. So we will reach out to you soon, sir. There are a lot of things covered, and I think a lot of clarity. I think there's some extent of clarity that all of us have got. So looking forward for more such talks from you. And I thank all participants for joining and giving their time on a Sunday evening. So till our next talk on Sanatana Dharma, it's Ram Ram from all members of Sri Kamakshi Ashra Samskriti Trust. Ram Ram. Ram Ram, sir.
Many of us are asking whether there will be a recording. Yes, of course, this will be uploaded into our YouTube channel. So stay tuned. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mahadevan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mahadevan.